Want to teach your kids financial literacy, but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/Wondery.
Everyone has moments in life they can't just stop thinking about. They can be embarrassing things, like that one time you face planted in front of a group of teenagers, or something amazing like the first time you hosted your family for the holidays. And on Baby, This is Keke Palmer, hosted by me, Keke Palmer, and presented by BMW, we know to savor the good memories and let go of the bad. And one thing everyone remembers fondly is their first time behind the wheel of a BMW. So come join me and BMW this summer as we explore pop culture moments and topics you just can't stop thinking about on Baby, This is Keke Palmer. Sponsored by BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
You better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. Find it at Romancing the Podcast. Ooh, ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. Ooh, I'll have what she's having.
Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
And I'm Todd Schlosser. And this week, Paige made us watch Falling for Figaro.
All right, Todd.
Paige.
You and I have texted each other that we had things to say, but we could not do it until we were recording.
Yeah.
And on mic.
Paige, I don't have things to say. I have things to shout. This movie is insane.
This movie is crazy, and I have screenwriting notes.
Yes.
I have so many.
Is it that, hey, as a screenwriter, you should know your main character is the villain of this movie. Like, full ass on villain, like sociopathic villain.
It's not even that, although yes, I will address that because it is a problem.
It's insane. Good God.
The movie does not understand its main character at all.
No, it thinks she's a hero.
Well, that's not as big of a problem as something else. The movie's trying to have it 4 different ways. I will get to it in a second. But first...
You got to pay a lot for that kind of action. That's all I've heard.
First, I need to tell you something that I realized halfway through this movie. And that is that this is Santa boot camp with opera.
It is. It is 1,000% Santa boot camp with opera. And I did not think about that independently. But when you said it, it rang so true to me that I was like,
oh
is
God.
Mikey in the background of this audience? But it's opera, so of course he wouldn't be.
Of course, he'd be asleep. Okay, so here are my screenwriting notes for this movie. First and foremost, I do want to say a couple things that I do like about what this movie did, just to get it out of the way so it doesn't feel like I'm raining on everyone's parade. I love that they have a plus-size main character and it is never addressed. Love that.
Yeah, that's great.
Love that she's just treated normal.
The problem is she's a sociopath. I want better things.
I'll get to it, Todd. I will get to it.
I know.
I'm trying to say nice things before I say a lot of maybe critical feedback. Okay.
Sure.
So I like that her body is never treated as an impediment. It is never addressed. No one calls her fat or anything.
Her body is treated, if anything, like a wonderland. Her boyfriend's super into it. Her super supportive, sweet boyfriend, who she cheats on, is
Todd,
super into it.
let me get to it.
She's terrible.
I will address it. I promise. Okay. I do like that.
Yeah.
I like that aside from the fact that the movie does not seem to understand the actions of its main character, aside from her, and perhaps to a lesser degree, her teacher, no one's a real villain. Everyone is super supportive, even when they maybe shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So let's get into the critiques. Okay. First of all, my romance novel girlies back me up on this. This movie should be a straightforward enemies to lovers.
Yes.
Where they are both taking lessons, they're competing for the same thing.
Yes.
But then they realize that they should be doing it together, and ultimately they have to win with the duet. That is not what happens in this fucking movie.
Paige, they set that up. They set it up, and then
They set all those pieces up, and then they throw it away.
Because the boyfriend at the beginning could have easily have been painted as a villain, like a terrible guy, and then she breaks up with him and then starts her whole new life.
Todd, there should fucking be no boyfriend.
That also would be fine.
Why is there a boyfriend?
I don't know. They choose to write this boyfriend, and listen, he's great. Like, he's so supportive. He's not super into opera, and you see him sort of take it for granted at the beginning, but he like fully ass makes amends for that and like really like doubles down on committing to her. And she's like cheating on him during this time, and you're like,
she definitely emotionally cheats on him, and then depending on your definition of physical cheating.
no, she definitely cheats. They make out on a
They
bed.
make out.
That's fully ass cheating. Like, I don't know, what are we talking about?
I'm just, he doesn't need to be there. He's not useful to the story at all.
If you take him out, it's a cute love story between this weird Scottish guy who's never felt a feeling in his life and this wannabe opera singer who I'd like to like, but like, I can't.
But you can't like her.
Because she's a fucking villain. Paige, I'm so mad.
Oh my God.
I had to invite Toby to the recording, my support animal.
So, okay.
It's a Toblerone, by the way.
Oh, I thought you were like Toby from Toby's Secrets, but that's a horror virgin. Oh, nice Toblerone, sir.
Yeah, Toblerone, baby.
Very triangular.
Yeah.
You struggle to like her for a myriad of reasons, because I want to.
Paige, if anybody does, I know you do. Like, I know.
Are you kidding me? A plus-size girly? You know I wanted to like her.
I know.
Okay, here's why you can't, because...
The boyfriend.
Well, no. But I had problems before.
Same. I had problems early on.
I will say, this movie is also 20 to 30 minutes too long, and you know what that 20 to 30 minutes is? The fucking boyfriend. And he's not doing badly as an actor or anything. He's doing his job.
Yeah.
But the script doesn't realize that he's unnecessary, and it's bonkers to me.
Not only is he necessary, he makes me hate her.
Yes.
He makes me hate her because of how she treats him.
Well, not only that, because in the very beginning, she, without talking to him about it, and they live together, full ass live together.
Yeah.
She quits her high paying job, no discussion with their partner, and is like, I'm moving away for a fucking year.
Paige, pause all of this, because she does discuss it with her partner literally the night before. They're like, hey, you're about to get this promotion. I'm going to make more money than you. It's going to be great. That's talking about it.
Yes.
She's saying she's going to take that promotion.
Take the promotion.
And then literally the next day when she's like, you know what? I'm just going to quit and like walk out of the office instead of taking my insanely well-paying job. What?
Well, and this movie, it spends so much time with like her and the boyfriend, and it spends 0 to no time establishing that she has any natural talent before she gets to Scotland. Because like, that's what I needed to see.
Yes. It's 30 minutes in before we realize she can actually sing.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what movie it is, but there is a movie about this like quote band. And they're like, we got to break in and do this renegade show on this stage. And the whole movie is about them breaking in. It's sort of like a heist movie. They're like breaking into this festival so they can run on stage and play a few songs before they get dragged off, right?
Right.
And the comedy in the movie is that you never see them play until the very end. And they're fucking
and then they're terrible.
Yes.
I love
and
this.
And the movie is like, we know they're terrible.
I love that.
The joke is on you. And I loved it. It was almost, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was almost like one of those jokes where it goes on so long, you're like, oh my God, is the joke on me? And then you're like, oh no, this is hilarious. It's like that.
Yes.
But yeah, like, but it's 30 minutes in before we realize she can sing. And you're like, oh, I guess maybe.
She can sing. She's just not trained.
Right.
But like what I needed instead of a boyfriend was I needed to see her actually being unhappy in her life, and then in secret or with a local choir or at an open mic or something, singing and feeling like I have this within me and that is enough for me to believe in it.
Sure.
Because in this movie, we see none of that. We just see her go like, bye-bye boyfriend, bye expensive job, I have a ton of money, and I'm just going to go blow it because if I can spend enough, I can be a famous opera singer, which is infuriating because she's also, people are like, this takes years. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
And she's just like, oh, come on. Really?
She's like, but I'm rich, Paige. Shouldn't there be like a faster way for me to like skip the line as a rich white woman, Paige? It's infuriating. And the movie treats her like she's the hero of the movie. Like, I was so mad at this movie for like just doing it so wrong. I don't think I've hated a character more than Reese Witherspoon in Sweet Home Alabama. And this lady was there for me. Her last line of the movie when she's talking about her boyfriend, maybe it's not the last line because then it cuts to them singing. But like after we see this very supportive boyfriend that she cheated on, like whatever, it cuts to 3 years later. Presumably she breaks up with him and she says to Max as he asks, how's the significant other? She goes, he lost his significance. Like that's not something a sociopath would say. That's insane.
They tee it up 3 years beforehand.
Oh, Toby.
Where she's just like,
my only friend. I'm so mad.
I don't think I'm going to quit. I think I'm going to keep doing it.
I
know. And she's like, did you just roll your eyes? I was like, he's full ass asleep, girl. Like there was no eye rolling. You have made this up.
Also, let me just say this. You on a whim, lady, left for a year to learn how to sing opera.
Yep.
Your boyfriend, supportive that entire time.
Yep.
You then get back in bed after a year and say, you know what? I am potentially going to move 5 hours away from you for the foreseeable future, for indefinitely maybe. And like, I would have feelings about that if Natalie just dropped that on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might not roll my eyes, but I wouldn't be super thrilled about it. And I'd have every right to be a little upset that I wasn't brought into that discussion. And she breaks up with him for that. In fact, it's positioned like the movie telling us, the viewer, that like, oh man, see, she made the wrong choice.
Yes. The movie positions it as she should have just dropped everything and married Max. I also don't think that she moves 5 hours away. I think she continues in London.
We don't know, and she doesn't say that. This is the only conversation they have about it, and it's insane to me that they don't, like, she never involves her partner
ever
in discussions about their life
together. And so there's that element, but then
I'm gonna go see the doctor. I'm so upset. I honestly feel like I needed all my support friends. I brought Toby. I brought the doctor.
You brought Dr. Pepper.
I brought Mary.
Mary Jane.
Yeah. I brought Alani. Everybody.
Anyway, so there's that. But then as someone who is in the performing arts, nothing is more infuriating than a person who has done zero work and zero research and just shows up like, I can do it. Why? Why are you making it hard? Why aren't you just immediately letting me do this? And every piece of me was like, go to the back of the line, open micer. Like, I just couldn't. It was infuriating.
You know what's dumb about that? Not what you just said, but like what's dumb about the trope that they're like playing on here is like, it takes an immense amount of talent to do most of the performative arts.
Anything.
I think opera is probably one of the most difficult. Like, it's
so
insane.
hard.
And the people we see sing at the end, and Max is singing at the end. That dude actually can sing like that.
His voice is beautiful.
He was in Les Mis in 2012. He was in the terrible Les Mis.
Yeah, that's a really bad one. It's not good.
But he was one of the people you didn't know, so he could actually sing. Like that's how good he is.
He's so good.
It's really just Russell Crowe. That's not great. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to throw shade at Hugh Jackman. Dude's got pipes.
Same. And Amanda Seyfried also could sing very well, and I knew who she was then. So, like, it's not all the name people.
Anne Hathaway. It's
Javert. Yeah.
But Javert's like a huge character. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. He's like the villain. Anyway. But, like, it's insane to me that people are, like, it already takes an immense amount of skill to do those things.
Right.
And she's like, I could figure it out in a year.
In a year. Do you know how long I've been doing stand-up comedy? 12 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
12 years.
Paige, I get it.
Because, and here's the thing, like, everyone their first year is like, I got like 12 months and I'll be like running this. No, you won't. You won't. And it's okay. You shouldn't be.
So, and I do think that there is a way to make it like, she's like a wedding band singer or whatever
Something,
and wants to
yes.
be, because like, and I'll say this about your example of people who like are TikTok famous
Oh, God.
and want to be a stand-up comic.
And they bomb immediately.
Like those are different skill sets, but there are skill sets, not to brag, and this is going to sound like a brag, but like when Mikey and I did Roast Battle, we didn't bomb because we do
You've been
this.
doing this.
And this
Yes.
is somewhat adjacent to stand-up comedy. It's very different. It's a different skill set, but they're in the same wheelhouse, right? They're in the same like genre.
You have a comfortability in front of people. Like there are a
Yes.
lot of elements that help you out. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But like if you gave her a job that made me think, oh, she's already a great singer. She just needs to learn how to do opera. But like they make her a fucking stockbroker? Like that's not a related industry.
Or cut the boyfriend out, or make them break up immediately when she decides to go
Yes.
do opera.
Make him a villain. Make him be like, no, this is stupid. You can't do this. You suck. I've heard you sing in the shower. You're terrible.
Right.
And she's just like, I'm going to do it anyway and go. And then I love her.
Or show us her sneaking out from a late night at work and going to a karaoke bar to unwind because that's the only thing that makes her
Paige,
happy.
That would fix it too.
That's a one scene.
Yes.
One scene.
Yeah. Or like
Ugh.
after the fight with her boyfriend, that's what she goes and does. And she sings like turn my key into the side of his redneck, whatever, 4-wheel drive.
Yes.
But like she belts it. She crushes it, you know? Like,
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, fuck, she probably could do opera. And then cut to her checking into the pig or whatever the unclean pig. I forget the name of the hotel, but I remember thinking it was cute when I said it.
I think it's the Dirty Pig.
It is the Dirty Pig.
Anyway, it's like we have zero indication not only that she could be good at this, A, has the drive to do it, B, and C, truly wants to. It feels like
Yeah.
she sees one opera and is just like, boy, would I love.
It's like she sees one opera and she's like, I could do that.
I could do that. Which, like, if I had a nickel for every time some asshole at a comedy show has done that, and then we have put them on stage for our own amusement and they bomb,
Oh, that's the only way to handle that.
it's the best. People do it all the time.
Speaking as someone who was once that asshole, that's the best way to handle that, by the way.
Yeah, it cures people of it for life, pretty much.
Because you know who doesn't have a tight five? The drunk asshole in the third row.
Yeah?
Yeah. Although wouldn't that be great if like it was a plant and the whole thing was a bit?
Oh my God.
And that guy got up and crushed it? Like, oh, so
Can
funny.
I tell you my dream?
Tell me your dreams, Paige. Tell me them.
Sometimes I end up having to sit through bad comedy shows that I'm not on.
This is your dream?
No.
Oh.
Boy, do I wish a bitch would in those moments be like, you try it. I'll be like, gladly.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me, sir.
I've been waiting
Like,
forever.
I have toured internationally. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's never going to happen. But yeah, it seems delusional. And then it's played like the boyfriend when he's like, hey, this might be delusional. They're like, what an asshole. I was like, what?
No, it in fact might be delusional. Like we don't know at that point if she can sing or not.
Well, and again, as someone who has done, and I did performing arts stuff before stand-up. So as someone who has done this a long time, I've had a day job most of the time.
Oh,
it doesn't
Paige.
exclude you from doing it.
Paige,
like,
yeah, I've had a day job almost the entire time I've been in the creative field, if you want to call it that.
Yes.
And like, that's just the way it's done.
the hubris.
Yeah, no, Paige, I knew she was like stupid rich when she quit her job to start taking vocal lessons.
Yes.
You know how long it takes to do a vocal lesson? Not 8 hours.
Yeah, it's only a couple hours. And to get good at it too.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing too. She's a hedge fund manager, right?
Yeah.
Which means she makes her own damn fucking schedule.
Yes.
Like,
And
homegirl, just take Thursdays off. Like,
Paige,
whatever.
Yeah. And when I realized that she was a hedge fund manager, that's when I was like, oh, she legit could drop like 60 to 80K taking a year off work and doing this full
Right.
time. You know, like I bought it. I actually had no issue with her doing that from a monetary standpoint.
No, she could afford that. Yes.
It also makes me not like her very much, and I find her like elitist
Yes.
and like it's hard to connect to her because she like is so wealthy. Like it is just
She's rich enough to make a bad decision.
Oh my God. Can you imagine, Paige? Can you imagine walking into work and being like, I'm going to quit because I hear the NFL is holding tryouts.
Is that? I'm just going to go run for it.
And they'd be like, Todd, you're 5'9", 170 at best.
You're like, but I have a dream.
Yeah.
I have a dream. Yeah, like that.
Just cut to me wearing football pads,
Crazy.
singing that and then getting creamed by some like actual linebacker.
I'm just like, oh, yes.
Then cut to me in a hospital. Toby, you my only friend.
Here's why I needed proof in the beginning of the movie that she had some natural skill and had been attempting this for a while.
Yeah.
Because it's a whole different ball game if, let's say, I took a year off work and like saved money, took a year off, and I was like, I'm gonna get my screenplay off the ground. People would be like, well, yeah, you've been doing this for years. You have connections. A year of uninterrupted work on that might actually make a difference because you have already put in legwork toward that. This is you having run most of the race and then trying to get across the finish line. This is her at the start of the race being like, I don't even really know if I'm good at this, but I'm gonna take a year off work to do it. That's why it's bonkers.
It is, Paige.
And then because she has the boyfriend the whole time, it makes you not invest in her and Max, because then it also makes you not like her, because you're like, he let her move away for a year. And I realized I just said let her. That's a crate. But like, he, without further input, without her having a full-on discussion, was like, it's totally fine for you, girlfriend, who I assume was paying half the rent, to leave for a year, spend $100,000 or more on this thing that probably won't work.
I mean, she's living in a B&B, and I assume buying her food every meal, like, that shit's expensive.
And paying for lessons, like, all of this. He's like, and for you to take one of our cars to do that. And for me to not even be able to see you, but just to call you for that year.
For a year, Paige.
And we're going to stay together, and I'm going to keep our apartment. And like, that's a huge, huge deal for the other person in the partnership.
Yeah, it's fine, Paige. She doesn't consider him at all at any point.
And
in fact, when he brings any of that up, she like threatens him physically.
It's like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you not support my dream?
It's almost like she's a sociopath.
It's nuts. And I'm not saying that there isn't a scenario in which I might buy that this would happen. Like if she had been trying for a long time and that she was like, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
Please, can we make this work? Like, that's a different thing. And you would have been rooting for her to do it. But then because you're already like, I don't think they should be together, and he's not a bad guy, he's treating her well, but this is bonkers.
Yeah.
And then to have her turn around and like cheat on him.
Yeah.
And you're like, I think they should be together for sure, because clearly the movie has set them up as our romantic leads.
The movie wants you to want them to be together, but I simply do not.
Well, do you mean the boyfriend or Max? The movie wants you to think her and Max should be together.
I would prefer the boyfriend and Max be together.
There you go.
Because she's a terrible person. Like she brags about she in fact lies about going to therapy. She does not have a therapist.
Yes.
And then brags about how she doesn't need a therapist. And she's fully a sociopath.
I'm like, girl, you need a therapist.
Speaking as like a former shitty person, like you need therapy, lady, because like you can't treat people like this and then expect to have long-term relationships with them, because they're going to end up hating you because you're very hateable. And that's what I felt about this movie. It was very hateable.
It was wild. And here's the thing. If the movie had set up that it was something she's wanted for a long time, he knew about it, it was a decision, he either didn't support her, even though she was like, yes, I have wanted this, I've been working towards this, and I want it, that's different, and they should break up then. Or if he starts cheating on her while she's gone, that's different.
Yeah, not vice versa, though.
Not vice versa, though.
It's terrible.
Yes, and because it's making her more unlikable, you're like, Max, run.
Yes.
Like, no.
When she shows up at the end, like when you hear her name, they should play like that, go, like villain music. Like that should be the stinger at the end that like, oh my God, Max will never get away from her.
Todd.
Like this is a horror movie.
Todd.
Yes.
I also, now granted, you could argue that she spends those 3 years working on herself and her career, but we don't see it because it's off screen.
Sure.
And in theory, she has, obviously, because they know about her at that point. But like the second she broke up with that boy, like let's say she's a good person and wasn't evil, and she's somehow still with that boyfriend at the end of the movie, let's say.
Sure.
But she still has feelings for Max that she never acted on.
You mean except for the one time she cheated on her boyfriend?
No. I'm saying if she was a good person, didn't act on them, like if...
Sorry, I'm just petty. I apologize.
I know.
Can you tell I've been cheated on, babe?
I know. We all know That's why you're in therapy.
I'm so sorry, listeners. I apologize. I don't mean to make it your problem.
But let's say everything went well. She didn't cheat, but she had feelings for Max, but didn't act on them. And
Sure.
but then breaks up with a boyfriend. You're going to tell me she's not going to immediately beep, boop, beep, boop, boop. Hi, Max.
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Are you still single because you look like you're constantly on the verge of tears and women find that maybe a little off-putting? Yes. Please come to my hotel in wherever.
Yeah.
Duh.
It would definitely be in Beaverhampton. But, Paige...
69 Beaverhampton Grove.
Paige, I don't know if that town exists, but it also must. I also know it exists somewhere.
Look, half the villages in the UK are called Dickspittle and shit. So they have to have a Beaverhampton.
Honestly, driving on UK roads is super hot. But Paige, maybe we should just go through this terrible, terrible movie scene by scene. Oh wait, I didn't tell you how I felt about it. I loved it.
You loved this movie?
I love this movie, Paige.
Here's the thing. I know musical, but...
Yeah, I'll say it this way, though. This is probably more accurate. Never has a movie been more geared towards people like me, like music nerds. I'm not necessarily an opera nerd. I don't hate opera. It's not my favorite. But I definitely was here for the singing part of this movie, you know?
Everyone who sings in this movie is amazing.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
I definitely think if you're not a music nerd, you'll probably this is too much opera. And I think for you, you're right. It was fine for me, though, because I am a nerd. I think you're better than me. That's what I'm saying. But
no, I just think that there's an element to opera being a little inaccessible, because it is not in English when the rest of the movie is.
Usually it's not in English. Yeah.
And none of it was subtitled,
I know,
which didn't help. Which meant that even though they're saying words that have meaning within the scene, like a contextual meaning, we don't know what they are. And a lot of the songs are not peppy or recognizable.
The only time that doesn't bother you, and yes, I am speaking for you if you've seen this movie, because the only time it doesn't bother you is the only time it didn't bother me, and that is when Max is singing at the end. Because his whole arc is coming to fruition, and you're in it with him in that moment. And he is singing Figaro in what I will say is probably my second favorite rendition of Figaro, next to Robin Williams in the beginning of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, yes.
Thank you very much. Dude crushes it in that. It's insane. But he is crying, and he's it's so emotive, and he has been unable to do that. So you're in it with him. The rest of the time you're I just don't understand what people are saying. So I have no emotional connection to the music at all.
Right. Yes, exactly. And that's tough because I also know that if you are an opera nerd and you love opera, I'm sure this reads very differently. There's still the problems with the boyfriend and the plot and that, but
Well, yeah, I was just speaking from the opera standpoint. I'm a music nerd, and so it was fine for me, but if you're not a music nerd, this is probably too much opera for you. That's what I was trying to get at, yeah.
Yeah.
But I hate her so much, Paige. I hate her so much. And it's not that she's terrible, it's that she treats people terrible. Because she's not necessarily a terrible person. She's not running over cats or punching babies.
No, but I think she is.
She just treats those around her like they don't mean anything to her at all at any point. It's hard to watch, honestly.
She has full-blown main character syndrome.
And honestly, she is. So
But that's what all of the problems stem from, because the boyfriend is just there to support her main character arc, right?
Yeah.
It's I have a dream and therefore I have to go do it because I'm the main character. Regardless of hey, your dream is unrealistic, or hey, many other people have tried this and are as good, if not better at it than you.
Have you never heard of Susan Boyle?
A million people. So many people.
Is that her name?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
One could never forget. And she wears basically Susan Boyle's dress at the end of this movie.
I mean, we've all worn it, Paige. We've all been there. Raiding Susan Boyle's closet or wardrobe because she's from the UK.
We've all been in show choir.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I've definitely worn a cummerbund and sung Little Saint Nick, for sure.
But because everyone else is a supporting character to her, whenever they're hey, have you considered that you might not have done a lot of research into this and your aspirations are a little unrealistic, or you maybe need to adjust your goals? And she's just I can't believe you don't believe in me. And I'm lady, what?
Well, this is the first time I've heard you mention the word song.
Ever.
So,
since we've been dating.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, we got to get into it, though. Yeah. Although I don't think it'll take very long to get through because not shit happens. Yeah.
Not shit happens, except people who were also in Outlander are also in this movie.
I knew this was going to come up.
Also, the lady from AbFab.
Okay. I don't know what AbFab is.
Todd, AbFab is an incredibly famous UK TV show. Please cut out
What
that
is
part
it?
where you said you did not know what it was. Absolutely Fabulous?
Oh, I know what Absolutely Fabulous is.
It's called AbFab. Everyone calls it AbFab.
All the fun kids are calling it AbFab. Yeah, well, I'm old, Paige. I mean, honestly, that show's old.
That show is old. The industry at the time called it AbFab. That's what everyone calls it.
Well, I know it exists. I've never seen it.
It's fun. I like AbFab. AbFab's a good time.
I'm sure it's great. Everyone, I mean, I know it because people love it.
Yeah.
I just haven't found time to find it. Anyway, what are we doing? Oh, the episode. Let's get back to the episode.
We got to talk through this movie. Okay, so we open on her and her boyfriend at an opera, and her boyfriend is asleep while watching the opera. Now, later when her boyfriend is watching her very attentively when she's singing, if he had fallen asleep during that would have put him almost to villain status for me, and I think
it would have made him a villain for sure. I would have also laughed.
I would have laughed really hard.
But I'd have been like, man, he's been supportive this whole time, but opera's superism for this guy.
Yeah,
because he's only there because his girlfriend who he loves opera.
Yeah, because he's a supportive, nice guy.
He's a great guy, although I think that this scene, because he's maybe not taking enough of an interest in what his girlfriend's into, sort of sets him up oh, this guy's going to be the villain she breaks up with and then she finds love in Scotland when she's learning how to sing. But no, this guy turns out to be fucking great. He drives from London to Scotland to apologize for this in this movie.
For this, when they have had a fine relationship in between. We'll talk about it when we get there, because I thought something else was going to happen and it did not. Anyway, so we see her kind of daydreaming and picturing herself singing in the opera. This is the only thing we get to suggest that she has ever considered this type of a career or pursuing it in any way. We then cut to her and her boyfriend going home, and he's like, yeah, it was great. I'm so glad we went, because he's trying to be interested in the thing that she's interested in, even though he fell asleep. Whatever.
I think I think maybe he felt bad he fell asleep.
Yes, of course.
And so he's in the car ride home is doing a little bit of damage control. And he's like, hey, babe, that was great. We can definitely go back. And I promise I'll stay awake the whole time.
Yes.
Work's been real rough. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so she's like, I'm not going to go to bed. I'm going to send some emails because we got the big day tomorrow. And he's like, you're going to crush it. And she's like, I'm going to make more money than you. Because she's gaslighting him into thinking she's going to take this job and they could buy a house and get a puppy.
Yeah.
Because that's what he was planning for.
Yeah. He was hoping that they could get married and stuff.
I mean, if my husband and I had been planning to buy a house and we're like, okay, we're going to save up, we're going to get the house, and we could get a grill and whatever. And then he was like, surprise, I'm going to be a male stripper. And I was like, should we get 2 houses?
Paige.
But this is the craziness.
Paige, hang on a second. Because if Jake comes to you with that, consider it.
Can I manage your OnlyFans? We're going to be rich as fuck.
Consider it, Paige. That's all I'm going to say. He's a hunky dude. I bet he would do well on OnlyFans. I'll just say it.
He would, but I don't think he would interacting with anybody.
They actually have services that will do that for you.
I know.
Ask me how I know, Paige.
I know.
OnlyFeeds. Anyway.
She's making large-scale financial decisions that impact her partner without telling her partner that it's gonna happen.
She literally is I think they sort of go back and forth about the whole I'm gonna make more money than you thing, which he doesn't seem like he's okay with that, or he's like, I guess I'll have to get used to that or whatever, but I
don't think it really bothers him. This is played kind of joking in the moment.
I don't think it does either, but that's such a weird trope to me that movies still do, and maybe that's a thing for a lot of guys.
Yeah.
If Natalie was making more money than me, I would high five her all the way to the bank and then piggyback her home.
Yeah.
I would be thrilled. I wouldn't care. That's great.
Great.
You're successful at this thing you do. That's great.
Wonderful.
I don't know. It's weird. It's such a weird trope to me.
It's very strange. But then she, instead of sending emails, she seems to not send a single email, stays up and watches the same opera sung by different people, and just cries while drinking wine.
Yeah. What you're saying is she got red-pilled or red-wined.
Opera-pilled.
Yeah, exactly. Into quitting her life to go do opera.
Look, you got Cabernet-pilled, and now you think you can do opera. It's not.
It is that. And listen, there are studies going on. There was a congressional study that happened all about YouTube's algorithm sending people down into
the opera
content. And then it's like the Wall Street banker to opera pipeline. And that's why things are real sing-songy out in these streets right now.
Yeah. Look, it's turning wine moms into wine.
Trad moms. Oh, sorry.
Oh, shit. Wine mezzo-sopranos. Anyway.
Yes, Toby. Yes. Talk to me. Oh, it's stuck, Toby.
No,
Toby. Oh, I got.
Listeners, I just need you to know
the last one's hard.
that Todd is just knocking back Toblerone like it's drugs.
Paige,
like it's the only thing keeping him sane.
Paige, I also had a whole ramekin full of Oreos, and I have one left. I'm saving it.
Saving it. Okay.
Because I have something to rage about at the end of this movie. I don't know if I can make it through.
All right. We cut to the next day. She's asleep. We cut to the meeting, and the meeting's like, she's fucking amazing at her job. Love it.
They pretty much say she's the Jesus of Wall Street.
Yeah.
They literally say her customers love her, and she makes so much money for them that they worship her like it's a religion.
Yes.
That's how good she is at her job.
Yep.
And then she's like, thank you so much for offering me this wonderful promotion, but thanks, no thanks. Oh, and by the way, her boyfriend's sitting next to her because they work at the same place and didn't know.
He used to be her boss, and he didn't know.
Insane.
And she's just like, sucks to suck, losers. I'm off to like,
it's like, fuck you nerds. I'm going to go opera.
Figaro. Just like as she leaves.
Please fuck off. Please fuck off. Please fuck off. Please fuck off.
Oh, God.
I hate her. I hate her in this movie.
Well, and her boyfriend is like, hey, I don't know what just happened in there, but I can probably smooth it over. Do you want to say that you were taking pills or something? Because what? And she's just like, no, I'm fine. I don't know. And I don't have a therapist, never have. I'm just going to go do my thing. And he's like,
oh, yeah.
What is happening?
I forgot that's the moment she reveals she lied about going to therapy, which is such a strange thing to lie about. Like, what? That's a huge red flag.
Okay, so this is where it gets even crazier because they end up going home and talking about it, and he's like, okay, I didn't expect this, but if this is what you really want, and he's like, well, and now that you don't have a job, you have a lot of free time. We could bang it out and get into some fun stuff. She's like, yeah, sex. And then literally, he's like, why did you quit your job? Because she didn't tell him about the opera thing until later. And she's like, I want to be an opera singer. And he's like in the shower? Because clearly that's the only time he's ever heard her sing.
Yeah, Paige. Yeah.
The only time.
Yeah.
And she's just like, yeah. And yeah, thanks. Thanks for the vote of confidence. And I'm like, if my husband walked into the bedroom and was like, baby, I'm gonna be a forensic pathologist.
Hell yeah, Jake. I believe in you.
I was like, what? You just watch CSI and he's like, I can't believe you don't believe in me. That's that's how crazy it is.
Jake, you can just yell at your friend who does shitty puns before that Who song starts. You don't have to go to college to have those moments.
Or just I'm gonna be a firefighter. Oh, like that one time I accidentally caught eggs on fire on the stove? Yeah. Firefighter.
Hang on.
I didn't do that.
Is Jake not a firefighter? Because he does put out firefighter vibes.
He does, but no, he's not. Oddly enough, the opposite. He works with very flammable materials all day.
Oh, I'll say he does.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's just anyone in a long-term relationship confronted with information like this would have questions.
I would be sure that you were just about to break up with me. That is the amount I would have felt considered in my own life at that point. To the point where I would be like, oh shit, she's breaking up with me. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
She's not crazy. She just hates me and hasn't told me that yet.
Or she has had some sort of realization about her life and I am also not a part in it.
Right.
Because otherwise I would have heard about this before, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, she goes the next day to what seems to be an audition. And my favorite part about this scene is that other people are leaving auditions sobbing because they didn't do well. And she is not put off by it at all. At all.
No.
And the fact that in this movie, she walks past people crying at this low-level audition and is not just like, I still got this. It's crazy.
She's insane.
It's a delusional amount of confidence and not necessarily in a good way.
Yeah.
It does take a delusional amount of confidence to do any of these things, but this is not a healthy version of that.
Right.
Anyway, She walks through this audition to the lady running it, who is a friend somehow. This person is never explained who this person is, what her connection is, how she knows these people, and we never, ever, ever see her again. It's a bizarre character in this movie.
Yeah.
But she's like, hey, it takes years and a lot of people start younger. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't start now, but like you have to expect that this is going to take a long time, and your body has limitations to what it can do touring wise, the exertion of your lungs, any number of things.
Oh yeah, there are people who are born and cannot sing. Like it's just like their body is not equipped to make those sounds. And like, that's a lot of people. Like a lot of people can't sing.
Well, and that's why they start people so young, because you can kind of train your it's like going to the Olympics and being like, I want to be an Olympic gymnast at 45. I've never done a cartwheel before.
This movie is like Eddie the Eagle, but if Eddie the Eagle wins the gold medal at the end.
Yeah. So this lady gives her what I would say is valid advice, where it's like, hey, you know what? It's going to take a few years, but like take some classes, see how you like it, whatever. And she's like, no.
Maybe ease into it before you make any life-altering decisions.
Oh, you've already made the life-altering decision? Too bad. And she's like, well, the only thing you could do is win this one competition, the Singer of Renown, but you're literally up against the best of the best that are not already like hired.
Yeah, they're at the top of it's like British Bake Off.
Yes.
Like they're all amateurs,
Sure.
but they're all real good. You know?
They're all amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy, is British Bake Off.
I was going to say it's like the Olympics, because that is what the Olympics used to be, where like you couldn't be a professional athlete, but they don't do that anymore. That's why I went Bake Off.
Yeah.
But this is like just like Britain's Got Opera or whatever, and like Simon Cowell's going to make you a star is like the way this is set up at the beginning.
Yeah. But she's like, well, there's only like one person who will take you. Because this is another thing that I don't think people understand, is that like, if you have no experience, there are certain mentors, trainers, coaches who will not take you.
It would be a waste of their time.
Because they don't take beginners. It's a waste of their time.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even understand that. She's like, the only person who might take you, and it's because she's desperate and hard to work with, is this lady, Joanna Lumley from AbFab. And like, that's your only hope, basically.
Yeah.
And she's like, you gotta, I guess, call her and see what's up. She calls her, and the lady's like, I don't know who you're talking about. Nobody referred you, but if you want to come, like, pay me as much money as you can and come to Scotland on Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, more or less, she has to like overpay her to get this lady to even hear her audition. So like, worst case scenario, she gets accepted and can be a student and like has to live there for a year paying these crazy rates. But she's just like so rich, it doesn't matter. You know, relatable. She's super relatable.
But also on the phone, she's like, what do you mean I have to audition? Girl, what do you mean? What do you mean that you have to audition? Like, what? And I was like, did you think that you were going to automatically get trained by one of the best people in the biz at the highest level of the biz without auditioning?
Yes, Paige. Yes, she did.
Madness.
It is madness.
Like that we should just take you on your word. Like, I have had to audition or send samples or whatever for every cool thing I have gotten until I had a name that was reputable enough. I think
reputable is how you say it too.
Yeah, fine. For people to just be like, yes, pick her. But that took years.
Yeah.
Years. This is madness. Anyway, so we cut to her soon-to-be vocal teacher's house where she's training someone else who seems to be like her son. I fully thought he was her son for about 20 minutes into this movie.
I was shocked that wasn't a reveal at one point in the movie.
Right?
That's how much it's telegraphed.
Yes.
It's also like she's positioned as like a sort of aggressively mean, but like in the kind of way that is clear that she wants the best for you.
Like Whiplash.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot like Whiplash, except not as expertly acted. J.K. Simmons is amazing in that movie. But she's just kind of mean, you know?
Well, so, okay, can I tell you what I thought the reveal was going to be?
Yes, please.
Okay. We find out that Max at one point is an orphan and was surrendered to the Catholic Church. It is never spoken of again.
Okay.
We never pick it back up again. Nothing. I thought for fucking sure that A, he was her son and she got pregnant when she was at the peak of her fame and couldn't stop to raise a baby and gave him up and then got him back. Second.
I love that, actually. That's actually real sweet.
How much would that have
but he didn't
humanized
know,
her,
you know?
but he didn't know. Yeah.
Paige.
Then second, absolutely Callum McKenzie from Outlander gave her that farmhouse. He's the one who heard her sing and gave her the farmhouse, and they had a romantic relationship that has now somehow fallen apart. The movie all but tells us.
He like date checks it.
Yes.
At one point, because she's like talking to somebody. It's like it seems like she hasn't gotten laid in 20 years, and you hear him in the background go,
He's like, 8. Yeah.
Like, goddamn, everyone in there now knows that he boned her down 8 years, and something happened because it's been 8 years since.
It's been 8 years. But the movie all but tells us that it doesn't tell us why they broke up.
Nope.
It doesn't tell us if they're going to get back together.
Nope.
All it is her being mean to him when ostensibly he gave her a house. And so like...
The audacity, Paige.
The lion, the witch, and the audacity.
In this economy?
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
There's so many loose threads in this movie. Like, I don't even know what... It might as well be the loom from Wanted. Like, it's so just everywhere. I thought that this hadn't done well because it came out during pandemic, and I'm like, oh no, it's because people saw it and were like, this is everywhere. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Was this written by the DSM's definition of narcissism?
Ooh, maybe. And here's the thing. It's like, I do love the arc of Megan, their teacher, because I do think she comes around to being like, they are good enough and I just need to push them to be their best.
Yeah.
And clearly she has the skills or whatever, but there's so many other weird little threads and like weird scenes that she gets with the guy from Outlander. And you're just like, where does this go? I'm just left holding this fraying thread at the end of this movie. Anyway, so we cut to her house where we meet Max, who in my headcanon is her son, but it's never completely established. And he is singing beautifully. Like, even in this moment where she's yelling at him, he is masterful at this.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're shit, Max. You're terrible.
You'll always be shit. Yeah, just should have never taken you back from the Catholic orphanage. Anyway, he's mad that she's taking on another student. We cut to, oh God, what's her name? Fuck.
Dumplin'?
Yeah, but what's the character's name? Millie.
Yeah, Millie, that's right.
Millie Cantwell.
That's right, it's Millie, because she's named after one of the main characters from Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Or Cantwell, because cant, the Latin root for singing, and then well.
Well, no, I don't, is that related to Millie at all? Like,
no, I don't think so.
Millie's last name in the Seven Brides for Seven Brothers is not Cantwell.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, the word Cantwell sounds like a real last name, but it literally translates to just sing well.
Oh, I know, but I was talking about just the first name.
Yeah. Anyway, Millie. I don't think they name the names in this are a little. Anyway.
Oh, I don't think they even did it as an homage, Paige.
Millie goes out to dinner with her boyfriend, and he makes like one last attempt to be like, hey,
can we talk about this like adults that are in a loving relationship?
Can we get your job back? Because we were gonna like buy a house and a puppy, and like we had talked about that, and like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, like we had plans, and I had structured my life around the plans that we had agreed that we both wanted.
And if they had shown us that that wasn't the case and that these were his plans, not hers, or something,
but I'd feel better.
But they don't do that. And so like, she, even in this moment, this is where she's like, I don't have a therapist. I've never had one, but I know that you like complicated women. So I basically pretended to be complicated. And I was like, what are you saying? What is happening?
She's like, remember the whole beginning of our relationship? It was a fucking lie. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's insanity. I would be like, hang on. We have to pause this conversation. I'll get the check and then go home. Because I can't have this conversation in public like this. Because I'm definitely going to cry. Like, there's no way that level of betrayal is not going to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Ugh.
And then he's like, look, you're running off to the Scottish Highlands to join the circus. And she's like, how dare you? He's like, you're right. The circus seems rational compared to this, because I would be upset in that moment too. And she's like, toast my success or go fuck yourself. And she leaves. And this is the moment that he will come back to apologize for, even though I would say it was a valid statement.
I think maybe he doesn't say some of the correct things. I think
maybe he wasn't as tactful.
Yes,
but
exactly. I think he does have legitimate like reasons to be like, hey, can we chat about this some? But maybe he doesn't go about it the best way. And that's fine. I get that. But like, I get why he's asking the questions he's asking, you know?
Yes. Anyway, we cut to she's driving out to Scotland. Meanwhile, Max is practicing and she's being incredibly cruel to him. But then they like sit down on the couch together and almost kind of cuddle. And I have in my notes, he has to be her son or this is very upsetting. We never, they're either he is her son or he is her lover.
Yes.
Given the amount of time they spend together and the interactions they have.
Yeah.
And the movie does not come down either way. And it is very weird.
It is.
Anyway, Millie arrives at the Filthy Pig and tries to get a room. We will find out that Max works there as like handyman, chef, everything. I fully don't know what Colin McKenzie does or Ramsey or whatever his name is in this movie.
He owns the joint, baby.
He seems to just stand at the bar and do nothing else.
You can tell he owns the joint. I loved it though because she was like, can I get a room? And he was like, nah. And she's like, don't you have rooms? She's like, yeah, I got tons of empty rooms. But if like you get a room, then tomorrow I have to like wash and dry your sheets and like clean your toilet and get one of those things.
If
that
you
are like,
give a moose a muffin, you know.
He's like, it's just not for like 45 pounds. It's not worth the hassle. I'm good.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, I'm auditioning and I might be here for a year. And at the prospect of making a lot of money.
Right.
Because a year's booking would be like 35,000 pounds or whatever. Like
whatever. Yeah.
To stay at a B&B for a year? That would be expensive.
45 pounds a day is like what, $60 a day, give or take?
Oh, I thought that was his net profit page. So like, I didn't think he was talking gross because to pay $45 a night, even in a rural area, seems super low.
But I don't think he would have said it to her if that wasn't what the price was. And I don't think they have a lot of other people there. But so let's say it's 60 American dollars a day.
Sure.
And she stays there for a year.
Yeah, what's 60 times 365? Someone grab your calculator.
I got
who is
it.
also on the, I'm doing it too. I'm making fun of myself for not already doing that. 60 times 365 is $22,200.
Right.
So I get why he's like, oh, okay. Do you pay? Okay, let's maybe ink the deal in advance.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't say that, but he does allow her to have a room for the night on the chance of making a shitload of money off of her later.
And she would have paid it in advance because she clearly has it. But then think about the fact that she is paying more. We know it's more than 100 pounds per lesson.
Which I would assume they're doing daily almost, maybe 6 days a week.
Or 5 days a week, something like that.
It does seem like they're doing it a lot because he is talking to her throughout this movie about how to like keep your voice good when you're using it a lot. So like I did think, okay, maybe they're like 2-hour voice lessons, 5 or 6 days a week.
That's another $25,000, by the way.
Still, I know. It's insane. Yeah. Like she spends probably $100K easy this year.
Yeah.
But fuck her boyfriend for not like supporting her.
Right.
Whatever, man. I'm gonna hate it.
I assume she had this money available and saved and wasn't using his, but still.
I know she wasn't using his. There's no way she wasn't also rich as shit. Like with her job and like, No, I don't think she's living off her boyfriend.
No.
And I think her boyfriend's going to be fine without her living there. I think it was just really inconsiderate of her not to consider him at all.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a relationship anyway.
Yeah.
But so Max shows her around, but he knows that she's the new student. He's not nice to her.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, can I order food? This is the only restaurant in town. And he's the chef. Turns out he's amazing at it.
Yeah.
And we will find out that the vocal coach taught him how to cook. Which, again, I'm like, this makes sense if he's her son. But, like, if he's not, this is strange. And I have questions about the health of this relationship.
There's definitely a maternal nature to their relationship, right?
Right. Anyway, so he drops her bread on the floor and then still puts it on her plate, whatever. But we cut back to the bar where he's like serving her dinner and literally all of the citizens of the town, this town seems to have 6 people in it. All of them are like, so tell us more. What about your boyfriend? Why did you hate it? And this is the only time that we're getting any sort of rationale for like what she's doing or why. And she's just like, well, it wasn't fulfilling. It was blah, blah. And it's like, so you weren't fulfilled by your job. And then we're just like, I know, opera. Like, you didn't do any other critical thinking before that.
No, Paige.
Fine.
None at all.
None. But this is where we get the first hint that Max is trying to go for the same competition she is. And they're like, do you think you'll finally make it this year?
Yes, and has been trying to win it for a long time.
Yeah. 3 years. This will be his third year, and they basically said this would be his last year. And I don't know if that's because there's a reason why he can only do it so many times until he's no longer an amateur, or if he's just like, I'm giving up after this point.
Yeah.
Not sure.
I kind of got the vibe that he was just like, I'm not going to try.
I think so too.
I will just be this like barkeep / like whatever who can sing really great.
Right.
Yeah.
So she gets up to her room. She calls her boyfriend and he says, hey, I'm sorry about the circus thing. I hope it goes well, whatever.
Yeah.
We cut to the next morning and Megan, Joanna Lumley, is very intense and is like, oh, so are you prepared for this? Am I making you nervous? Good. You should be nervous because this is like you wanted this thing and now you're here to get it. And she sings for the first time. It is not great. Her breath control is a problem.
Yeah.
It's not great. And she leaves. And as she's leaving, she overhears Max talking to her because Max also was messing with the pipes and the plumbing during her audition to distract her.
Yeah, and sort of like make a bunch of noise outside while she was doing her audition, which is like a dick move. Max is sort of a dick to her at the beginning.
It's enemies to lovers,
I know.
Todd. Like, that's why there shouldn't be a boyfriend. And
I know. Paige, I understand why this movie fundamentally fails at everything, which is why I love it. It's commitment to just making the wrong choice
every time. Anyway, he's like, don't take her on as a student. She's not worth it. But she needs the money. So like this does start out as a money thing.
For sure.
But she does say, she's like, okay, I am going to take you. But if I take you, you can't drink. You can't have visitors. You're only doing this because that's the level of commitment it's going to take to do what you want. And if you're not ready to do that, then you're not ready for this.
I love that when she's giving her the rules, she is like, no alcohol, sip of alcohol.
Sip of alcohol, yes.
No relationship. Like she's like saying like, you can't do this thing and then is doing the thing right in front of it. It's so funny.
I also love that she's like, is it because alcohol's bad for your voice? And she's like, no, it is. It like 100% is.
Well, that's when she takes her sip. Like I thought that was like, no, fuck off. I'm going to drink anyway.
Fuck off. Yeah. But she's like, all right, be here tomorrow. And as she leaves, she passes Max and she's like, oh, that's my other student, and has overheard Max doing the scales. And she's like, are you surprised that he's as good as he is when he's just like a barkeep or whatever? And she's like, yes. And she's like, you're a condescending little bitch. And like, please pay in cash because she's not that good.
Paige, you know what? Warmer and sunnier days are coming, and we can fuel them up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes, so no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Factor now offers like a load of snacks. In fact, we just got some of these like smoothies that were really great. They have a banana chocolate smoothie that like I drank way too much of. It was so good. And even better than that. So if you want to spend more of your sunnier, warmer days focusing on just enjoying the summer and less on what we're going to have for dinner, stay fueled up with easy, nutritious options from Factor. So head to factormeals.com/romancingthepod50 and use code romancingthepod50, sort of all one word, to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code romancingthepod50 at factormeals.com/romancingthepod50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active.
But they start lessons. And at one point she asks her, she's like, how long, like if I want to make Singer of Renown, how long will I have to pay for lessons to do that? And she literally says, as long as you can afford. Basically, like, we are starting from square fucking one. And not really. I mean, she can sing a bit, but she cannot sing to the level that she would need to.
Right. Yeah. And her teacher is very honest about that.
Yes, yeah.
She's like, listen, if you want to win Britain's next top opera, then you've got to like work at it. It's going to take a while, and I'm going to bleed you dry financially.
Yes.
This is going to be the biggest exchange of wealth since the GameStop stuff, all right?
Well, and I do love that after she goes to the pub and is like, okay, what are these people's deal? And he's like, so Max has tried to win twice now. This is his last time. He's been doing this for 5 years.
Yeah.
And she's like, is she taking my money with no chance of me moving forward? And he's like, well, you are kind of the local economy right now.
Yeah.
But we get a montage of like her like sticking her fingers in her mouth and like choking her to try and get her to sing well. And Max is kind of witnessing all of it and like brings her salt water to gargle, which is a thing.
Yeah, because like that's not how you learn how to do anything. Like she's like pulling on her tongue.
Yeah, that was weird. I've never had anyone do that. I have had people put their hands around my throat to feel the vibrations of you singing as you do it.
Yeah, huh?
That's not that weird. That happens a fair amount.
Little trick for that. You got to squeeze the sides and not the front, right?
Yeah.
If you squeeze the front, you're going to crush their windpipe and possibly go to jail for murder for kinky sex.
But like if you're trying to like tone and breath control, like that's not that weird. I have seen people do that.
Yeah, I've never seen someone pull on somebody's tongue.
Yeah, the tongue thing was weird.
At least in this context.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen it ever, honestly.
I don't know. That might have been just a weird one. I have gargled salt water and whatever.
Of course, yeah. Again, performers.
Yeah. But that's Max being like, oof, I have been through this. I know it's terrible. And like, as upset as I am, she doesn't deserve, like, I can't be mean the whole time, or whatever.
Yeah.
So he brings it to her to kind of help. We do get a scene between Megan and the guy who owns the pub. And he basically is like, hey, I hear her singing every morning. She does well. Like, go easy on her. And I love that Megan's like, I ain't going easy on anybody. She wants to be the best. This is what it's going to take.
Yeah.
It ain't easy.
No, it's not.
It's not easy. And Max is like, why? Why did you take her? And she's like, let her be the wind at your back. Let her get good and you have to be better. That's fine.
Yeah.
And she does work hard at it where she's like singing to the cows. She's singing in her room. And Max shows up and she like asks him like, hey, do you breathe through your nose or your mouth? And he's like, mouth. And he then shows up with like a stack of books.
I loved this scene though.
Yes. But like I needed more of this with no looming boyfriend.
Exactly. Boyfriend's already out of the picture and more of this. Because this is him like, all right, you're actually pretty good. I've worked with her for like 5 years. Let me sort of speed you along on your journey because you seem like a nice person or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do love that he brings her all these books and as he's handing her the books is like, all of these books, he's more or less saying all of these books say contradictory things. So like, just read and enjoy and decide your own style because everyone has their own and these books are just advocates for their own style.
Right, right. And then he like leaves and it's very, very sweet. We do cut to him playing rugby with what looks like the entire town.
Well, because it's all 6 people.
It's all 6 people, yeah.
I mean, they're just like warming up though, but they're like running and throwing the rugby quaffle. What is it?
Ball?
I don't know what it is. Back and forth. I have no idea.
I think it's a shuttlecock. It's not.
Might as well be.
Might as well be. Where they're like, ooh, you like her. And he's like, stop it. I don't. But we get a cut of him and Megan talking. And she's like, she has more determination than you have had in 5 years. Basically like, you are doing this, but you don't have the drive that she has. She has delusional confidence for her skill level and the amount of time that she's been doing it. And you could use some of it is basically what it is. Where it's like, she's too confident. You're not confident enough.
Yeah.
But she talks to her boyfriend back home. This is, I guess, the one time that lady comes back and she's like, yeah, I am taking lessons from her. And then we never hear from her again. But this is where she's going to do a concert in Edinburgh because it's a qualifier for the Singer of Renown. Because we have already gotten to this point because they can't figure out enough things about teaching her opera that they're just like, yada, 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 show. And so they're like, this compilation by Mozart, you're going to sing it, but you're going to arrange it for yourself. And it's just Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. This is one of the strangest choices in this movie. It's so strange.
I think they do it because you're like, oh, it's this piece by Mozart.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess Twinkle Twinkle Little Star was written by Mozart. Okay. And then by the time that reveal happens, we then have like 5 minutes before she has to perform it. So it feels like you're sort of locked into it because of that one note joke, you know?
Well, and then, so she's like trying to jog to like expand her lungs.
Yeah.
And this is where Max is like, no, but there are actual like exercises you should do. I will show you. And it does stay platonic in that scene where they have like hands on each other's chests to kind of feel the vibrations.
Oh, but it's clear that she's like, I like the resonance you're working with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's into it. Which also, I don't love with her with a boyfriend isn't cheating, you know?
Sure.
If she then like breaks up with her boyfriend or whatever, that's fine. I also would have been fine with that.
Yes. I would say this is not cheating. I would say this is still within the realm of training.
Yeah.
But because there is a boyfriend, you can't ascribe the romantic overtones to it that they want you to.
Right.
Because in a movie where she doesn't have a boyfriend, this would be like one more piece out of the wall of them that's between them of like them getting closer.
Yes.
So they go to Edinburgh to go to the show and she chickens out and tries to leave. And he's like, you're a spoiled brat. Do whatever you want. And leaves and goes back to the show, which I was like, thank you, Max.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because in Max's world, it was probably 2 years before he even got to do this show.
Yeah.
And she's got a couple months under her belt and her teacher's letting her do it with her own compilation. Like, yeah, you're a spoiled brat. So either do it or don't. Like, you've been given an opportunity and you're going to chicken out. No, you demanded this the whole time.
Yeah, you've insisted upon this, honestly.
Yes. Anyways, Max goes. He's amazing, obviously.
Yeah, he's great.
He's great. She goes up next. And by the time she gets up there, Max, every time Max is singing, looks like he's hanging on by a fucking thread. I am not kidding when I say that Max looks like he's on the verge of tears at all times.
He does.
And it just made me feel bad.
Okay, so also in Fleabag, he looks a little like that too. So I think that that's just how he looks.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm not saying he's not attractive. If I were around him in real life, I think I would be like, are you okay? Like too often. Because I'd be like, you look like you're not okay.
I just need this guy to show up at one of your shows and sit in the front row because the whole time he'd be like, oh man, this guy hates me. And he's just like too polite because he's British to laugh, you know? But he looks like he's sad.
Anyway, she goes up and sings Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And it goes well.
And listen, she's singing in the scene. You can see her like vocal cords moving. But I don't know if it's her voice.
She is not the audio.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if she is.
It's dubbed in by somebody else.
Sure. Yeah, and same for like Max. I know he can sing. I don't know if he's singing Figaro at the end. I think he is. If you look at him, he's definitely singing in the scene. I don't know, again, if it's his audio.
Yeah.
But he definitely is performing it. Anyway. But like whoever performs this actual like song does a great job with it.
Yeah.
It's still Twinkle Twinkle Little Star though.
Yeah. Now here's the thing though. Here's what I will say, because I think this is our first indication that Megan, their teacher, is actually brilliant because she picked it because no one else would.
Yeah.
And I think she knew that she's like, if we just make this girl sing any one of the other arias against everyone else singing arias, she's not going to stand out enough to qualify.
Yeah.
But if we do something unique, then maybe she will. And I think that's why she did it.
Yeah. I think that's fair because it works.
It's a weird choice in the movie.
Well, and it's positioned like a weird choice in the movie. I think that holds up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. Sorry, I think a bug just flew.
In your nose?
Yeah, something.
They're called buggers, Paige.
Buggers. It was just like all of a sudden. Anyway.
I love how like deep down we're like 8 years old, which is how old Colin McClacker's whatever and that baby would be because they had sex 8 years ago.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think he's Max's father, but I think she's Max's mother.
I don't think he's Max's father either.
Yeah.
I think he's the guy that stepped up and gave him a job. Sorry.
That's right. Right. Anyway, on the drive back, Max is kind of feeling shitty because he's like, she did better than I expected and maybe I didn't do as well.
Yeah.
And this is the point at which I had a really terrible thought, but I'd like to share it with you.
Please.
The way the movie shoots what happens next is a bonkers mistake because of the plot pieces they have set up. Her phone rings and it's Charlie, her boyfriend, and it's very, very early in the morning, like 6 a.m. And she picks it up and is like, what? Like, shock.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, Charlie's been in an accident. you're going to have to come back to London. And he had like died in a car accident. No, it's just that her review comes out.
Yes.
And they like loved her and didn't like Max as much, even though they're like, Max is technically perfect, but it's just not flashy.
Yeah, the problem with Max is that he is technically perfect, but there's no emotion in his songs.
Right.
That's what they're saying, which is the arc he goes on. By the end of this, there's like so much emotion when he's singing Figaro. So like, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he reads it at their former office because she used to work with him.
Yeah.
And everyone's excited for her and toasts to her. And they're like, I think she can do it. I think she can go all the way. And I'm like, why is this scene here? Other than to make me question how mean she is when she's going to just cheat on this person with Max, which we know she is because like...
How could you not, Paige?
I preferred Max personally, but like...
Paige, he sang at her every day for a year. Like, of course you want him to end up with Max.
Well, and I mean, we have already established that Matt likes her.
Max, sorry.
Yeah. Max has not made a move. Max has not said anything, but we know.
Right.
We know he's into her.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody makes a comment to Megan that they're like, hey, if you keep pushing the new girl instead of him, it'll break his heart.
Yeah.
And she says, well, then maybe he'll learn how to sing. Basically, like, we'll see some emotion out of him.
Yeah.
And that's what will happen. And she does have a conversation with him that's like, hey, this isn't a negative review. It's a mixed review. It still says that you were technically perfect and you were good, but like she is capturing the charisma that you need. So I'm going to make you two sing together.
Yeah.
So that you can learn from each other.
And she literally says, like, study her face, like, see what she's doing, use it, like, learn from that.
Yeah.
And honestly, Millie, she needs to learn how to, like, get more technically perfect.
Yeah.
So, like, it is a good pairing, right?
Yeah.
They have stuff they can learn from each other.
Well, and if this was enemies to lovers with no boyfriend in the picture.
I know, Paige.
This is where the kiss would happen and they would have a moment of like, oh, no, wait. Oh, wait, what?
Yes.
And then the end would be them singing together for the competition. Anyway, so she goes to Max's house. They sing the duet. And I have in this moment because they're acting very, very well.
Yeah.
You see the emotion between them, but because we don't know what they're saying, there is a piece missing for me.
Yeah. It's called language, Paige.
Yeah.
The piece missing for you is the story between the two of them in the song that they're singing.
Yes.
We don't know any of that. And if they had even subtitled it, it might have landed.
Yes.
It might have landed at all. Yeah. Because when they kiss, I was like, what?
They don't kiss. They stop.
Well, but they
lean in like they're about to.
But they get real close to kissing, right?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know what they had just sung to each other that led to this emotional moment. So like, okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
But it's Charlie and turns out he's there. He didn't talk to her about coming to visit. He just showed up.
No, he wanted to come all the way to the chocolate factory. You know what I'm saying, Paige?
Yeah, what's up?
Sorry.
But this is where Max is their waiter and he's really surly and he's just like, why is that guy in such a bad mood? Which I found pretty fun.
I mean, he doesn't know that she is like, maybe technically hasn't cheated on him yet, but is like about to cheat on him with that guy. Yeah.
Right. Well, and he's like, I read the review to the team at work. I'm so proud of you. I've never been more proud.
We see him do that, and he is so proud. Like, they show us him being the nicest boyfriend.
Yes. Yeah. And he's like, I'm ashamed that I didn't try to understand earlier, even though I would say that her sales pitch for this earlier was not great. And he's like, but I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you to do better. I just had to tell you that. I admire you and I adore you and I feel terrible and I misjudged you. And in my notes, I was like, this is too much. I am suspicious, to where I thought for sure she was going to find out he was cheating and he was trying to cover it up.
I thought he was about to break up with her because he had met somebody else, Paige.
Yep.
I had the same thought.
Yep.
I thought he was like, what do they call that? The compliment sandwich that you like deliver bad news in?
Yeah, the compliments.
Yeah.
You're a great motivator, but you're not good with deadlines. But I do think that your team has a great level of open communication with you. Yes.
I prefer to live honestly. So when I do it, I say things like, the food wasn't great, but it was expensive. And if you just say it like it's a compliment, then you're fine. You're covered.
Yeah, no, at my day job work, we have radical candor where you're just like, I know that you want to do a good job, but you didn't in this moment. like, where it's like, I know that you wanted this, but it was unsuccessful.
That's real Synanon vibes right there.
That's what's up. That's why I'm really good at it. They're like, hey, you're not in
Paige.
this. I'm not in this meeting with you. You're in this meeting with me.
Lock the door, roast battle sign drops from the ceiling.
Battle. Anyway.
Janet forgets to put TPS covers on her reports. More than sorry. I honestly think that if you have a grievance at work, you should not go to HR, but you should be forced to either like roast or rap battle it out. I'll do either.
Bro, your head is so shiny. It's our gold star metric.
Yes, Paige.
That's for all my corporate friends out there. It's dumb. Anyway. I thought for sure he was going to break up with her, but he doesn't.
No, he's just a great boyfriend.
Yeah, I know. It's a problem. Max goes home and crumples up the music for the duet, which for me, I was like, we were building this romantic tension between them and then we just crush it. We don't put it anywhere. We don't let it simmer. It's just gone.
We actively make it to where you're like, oh shit, if they do like consummate, if for lack of a better word, this like attraction they have, they're going to hurt this really great, nice boyfriend she has.
Yes. Well, and I think maybe that's why they did it where they're like, see, it's you don't want them to, will they, won't they? But then the next day, he goes home. So he drove up there for a day.
Yeah, to apologize.
Yeah.
He's a saint.
She goes to Max the next day and is like, I wasn't expecting my friend to show up like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, she just called him a friend. She called him a friend. They live together. Todd.
Paige!
They've lived together for a long time.
Paige, if you think Biz Marquis is not spitting in his grave, you are insane. I was so mad that she say he just a friend, Paige.
Yes.
She said he just a friend.
Yes.
I was offended for everyone in the scene, including Max.
But here's the other thing, too. I'm like, Max likes you. You guys almost kissed the other day. So if you come into this and you're like, oh, he's a friend, you're gaslighting Max. You're telling Max there's a chance because guess who you don't be fucking friends. So like,
right?
Yes, which is how Max in some scenes later is like, well, they're not really committed. They're not really a thing. I'm like, they live together. He wanted to buy a house with her. She was co-signing on those plans. They are committed. They are in a relationship.
No.
He's her significant other.
Paige.
What are we doing?
Her boyfriend's in a relationship.
She is not in a relationship. Yeah, that's the problem.
She's a monster.
I know, Todd. I'm not disagreeing. In these scenes, then they have like a weird talk about it where he's like, are you engaged? No. Significant other. And he's like, it doesn't seem like a love match. And I'm like, again, he's right. I don't even know why they're together, but like, at least that guy's nice. Like, I don't see how they connect.
I don't know why he's with her either. She left him for a year.
Anyway, we get him talking to Megan and he's like, she's with someone else. And Megan's like, it doesn't seem like it's romantic. Maybe you should just go away for a few days and see if she misses you. And she does, because he's like her day-to-day buddy.
Yeah.
Who also makes all her food.
Well, I mean, she pays for that. Like,
sure.
That is his job. It sounds like he's doing her a favor, but like that's a job transaction kind of a thing.
I think he's putting a little extra sprinkle on it.
Sure. And that, like, I think he does care for her. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong.
I think he's like salt baying with his entire heart in that kitchen.
I mean, I love it.
And she is clearly into him. Like, clearly. And so Megan tells her, like, by the way, you qualified. And she goes, what about Max? She's like, well, of course he did too. So now we've set the stage. They are both going to go to the same competition.
Yeah.
She goes to sleep happy because I think the movie wants her to be like, oh, she's happy for him. They're not competing anymore because she cares about him. I'm like, what about her boyfriend?
Right?
She still has a boyfriend.
You know, the boyfriend who like a second ago was here being the nicest person we've ever seen on film?
Yes.
Like that guy? Yeah. What about that guy?
So she comes down the next morning for breakfast and the pub is closed, but she hears Max singing in the kitchen. So she goes back upstairs, puts on perfume, etc. If you find yourself doing this, maybe break up with your boyfriend.
Paige, I was glad you brought this up because this is what I'm going to call Exhibit fucking A in Is This Cheating Court. And I am going for the charge of premeditated cheating because she turns around and goes back upstairs and lays the trap.
Here's what I will say. I think people like to look nice, like attention, whatever. But the second you act on this, like, if you want to wear perfume, wear perfume.
Sure,
but
yes.
when they go back to his apartment after this, a line has been fucking crossed.
Yes.
Anyway, so he makes her a celebration breakfast. This is where we find out he was an orphan and she taught him how to cook. And he's like, why are you here? Why opera? And then she literally says, I don't know. I like the drama.
Paige, as a fellow lover of drama, I was fucking offended that she said that. Like, what? I get that drama happens in opera. They're very dramatic. But like, what? I have been watching you for 50 minutes at this point, and you're just like half-ass into the plot of the movie?
Look, he's our favorite member of Entourage. I get it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, when she said, I don't know, and then rambled a half-ass answer, I was like, does the movie not know why she likes opera? Like,
no, it doesn't.
What is happening? It was bonkers. And like, here's where I needed the history of her trying opera, loving opera, being like, my dad used to sing Figaro in the kitchen in the morning when he would cook, and I've missed him every day since he died.
Paige would love.
That's all I need. Some reason, something to be like, I had a music teacher in school and she always used to play it. And like, that was the one person that I felt like really understood me. Great. Not I don't know. It seems like the drama and like they're always with these like wrong kind of women. And I feel like that's only there for Max to be like, it certainly happens because he has definitely fallen for somebody unavailable. Like, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he definitely is like about to have his life ruined if they start a relationship under these circumstances.
I also, as a card-carrying, like, enjoyer of romance books, etc., the fact that they go from this breakfast to banging it out while Three Stooges is on for some reason is criminal.
Paige, I think you'll find it very hard to believe, but many people find the Three Stooges very erotic.
I mean, Curly especially.
Ooh, come on, Mo.
A little side of shemp.
Okay, just between you and me, we know too many of their names.
Also, fake shemp.
And Larry, which is also my dad's name. That's I always remember that one.
So, and here's the thing. If they had set up the Three Stooges thing somewhere else before, maybe I'd understand it. I was like, were they watching it together in bed and then they started having sex? What I needed was them practicing the duet again and just losing themselves to it. Like, that's what I needed. Like, not this weird jump to like the Three Stooges and they're like clothes are coming off and she stops it and is like, hey, if I stop right now, I technically did not have sexual relations with you. I'm technically not a cheater. And he's like, okay.
That's a weird definition of cheating.
I mean, if your line is full penetration, then I guess she is right.
Good. Yeah.
I would say the kissing probably crossed the line.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, the second clothes started coming off.
Yeah.
Another line crossed.
Once there was smooch with intent to fuck, like they're definitely going down that path. She just stopped herself, which is great, I guess.
Yes.
But like she, in my eyes, and maybe this is not everybody, and that's fine. That's cheating.
I feel like if her boyfriend knew about it, he'd be upset. Yes.
Yes.
And so she's like chilling and looking at the lake.
She's like looking at the lake like she's like, I got to find out a way to cheat on this lake. Like she's a villain. I'm going to go swim in this pond over here, make this lake jealous.
I think for some reason well, no, I know the reason because she talks about it's dumb. But like he comes up and she's like, hey, I'm sorry. Like about that. And he's like, no, it's okay. I will take a rain check and it's all right. Which is basically him saying, I will wait for you to break up with him or do whatever you need to do, but I'll be here.
Yeah.
Which is actually a very sweet thing to say, although short-sighted, but...
Yeah, but like Paige, at this point in the movie, like I kept being like, okay, maybe she's going to come clean and break up with her boyfriend.
Right.
And then I can be like, okay, she's maybe very rich and that's sort of inaccessible to me, but at least she's not a full-ass monster.
Right.
But no, this movie's commitment to I will always make the wrong choice is commendable.
Well, and then she's like, so you see a future here? And he's like, I don't know. It's all a blur. It's I don't know what to call it. But essentially, like, I am still interested in you, even if you still have your own stuff to figure out. And she basically is like, I came here to win, so could you stay away from me until this is all over? Because I have to do my dream, okay?
Yeah. So they do sort of avoid each other for the rest of the year, it's positioned?
Yeah, which means the movie is just a montage of more and more and more and more opera, and you're just like, ugh, God.
I know, I don't love opera, but I like it. It's impressive. It's like that kind of level of appreciation maybe is more the realm, right? I don't listen to it for fun. But like, if someone's going to sing it for me, I'm going to check it out because that's impressive singing.
Yeah.
But like, it's a little much. It's a lot.
Well, and so we cut to the competition and all the other singers are there. There's a dude with wild eyebrows. And then the second dude is actually like really good.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, he might be better than Max, but no.
Nobody's better than Max, Paige.
Nobody's better than Max. But then we cut to a girl hearing her name get called for like a 10-minute warning in the green room, and she freaks out and barfs a bunch.
Man.
And then has to go on stage. Todd, you can't sing after you barf like that.
I can't.
Like, it would be very tough. I couldn't.
Yeah.
No.
But like, she does go out on stage and nail it. Like she actually ends up winning second place in the competition, and I think it was deserved. She crushes it.
Deserved. She was fucking unhinged on that stage.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
I do think it's weird that everyone at the pub is listening on a radio.
Paige, this brings me to something that I have to yell about, and I'm sorry. I have to do it.
I'm so happy that because I noticed this too. It was weird.
Do you mean the radio?
Yes.
Yes. Maddening. Here's what's so much worse than that.
Tell it to me, baby.
The bartender, where's Toby? I need Toby. The bartender, Paige, has a program from the competition.
Yes!
How? Paige, did he drive to London from Scotland to get a program?
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. This one is in London. How did he get that program?
What, did he fax it? You can't, that's not how fax machines work. They're not teleporters. How? I thought the radio was weird, and then I realized he was holding a fucking program. I was like, I think I have to die now because I'm so insanely raged out about just this movie's commitment to make everything the wrong choice.
I didn't even notice that. The thing that bothered me about the radio is like, in this movie, it is 2023.
Yeah.
We have iPhones. We have everything that we have. And they do present this town as being a little technologically behind the times. But you mean to tell me that ain't nobody got a laptop? Like, they could all be gathered around a laptop.
Right?
No, an ancient radio. So someone is at the performance broadcasting via wave radio?
Paige, this is a national competition. It is Britain's So You Think You Can opera. It's like that. It's like that. And you mean to tell me they're not streaming it somewhere on the internet?
Thank you!
Natalie's nieces and nephew dance. They're actually really good, but like they're like young. They're like
Yeah, sure.
they're like not even teenagers yet, you know? And their dance recitals are broadcast on the internet for the parents who can't come to watch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is a national competition, and they have to listen to it on what I'm assuming is like probably the BBC, like BBC 8 or whatever. Like,
yeah, whatever they played War of the Worlds on,
I know.
that's what they're listening to it on.
But it would be like our NPR might do something like this, right?
Yes.
But this is supposed to be a national competition? Like what?
It's like if you could listen to American Idol on the radio.
Yeah, it would be like watching a Britain's Next Top Opera on the radio. It doesn't make any sense. Like you can't, whatever. I hate it.
It's ridiculous. I do think it was funny that they have a guy, the next guy up is Fergus Mackenzie, who was one of the relatives of Callum Mackenzie on Outlander, but it's just a random guy. It's not the same actor or anything.
That's pretty funny though.
But he was like, up next, Fergus Mackenzie. And I was like, aw, Fergus and Angus. Anyway, his voice cracks, but it cracks as he's singing the phrase, que surpresa, which is like, what a surprise. And I thought that was fun. Anyway, she goes on stage. She better not sing Twinkle Twinkle again. She doesn't. She sings something else. And it's good. It is admittedly good.
Yes.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
She hits this high note that I have in my notes as the Spjorg note. And I'm like, all right. And they're like, she could win. And I was like, yeah, maybe. But there's like a lot of other good people here and she's still new. Fine.
Right.
But she gets off stage and Max meets her backstage and he's like, marry me, which is an unhinged plot. It's so out of character for him. It doesn't make sense in the story.
Paige.
All of it is weird.
Paige, this is what I had to yell. I was so mad. Paige, I was so pissed when he asked her to marry. I was like livid. Wow. The audacity of like proposing to another man who is great's girlfriend with like the light up ring box that I tried to find before I proposed to Natalie. I was livid, Paige. I was livid.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, Paige, it's definitely a thing. And I wanted that shit to shine, baby.
Oh, okay.
I was so mad. I was like, that's what I was looking for. I wanted one of those, but I didn't know what to call it. And Googling fucking engagement ring box light bright didn't come up with the results I had hoped for.
Okay, so I had never seen one of these before, but also my ring is not a diamond. So like that, I guess maybe it's a diamond thing. So
diamonds do sparkle real nice.
I guess. I thought that the reason there was a light in it was that because she was in the spotlight and it was like, that's why. Because when he opened it, I was like, why is there a fucking light in there? But I think it's probably just so you can see the ring on camera.
Well, I mean, it's also like...
they're dark. It's backstage.
I'm pretty sure you can get these for just like your own engagement though. Like I did look for one. I was trying to find one. I did see some on Amazon, but I didn't have a lot of faith in the way that would turn out. So I was trying to find like a higher end version of it.
Todd,
yeah.
Do you want to know how many of these I just found within 2 seconds?
Well, I mean, okay, yeah, I found a lot, but I was worried about them actually being good. Yes.
Because, yeah, I found some on Etsy and then a couple on West Elm and then a couple other ones. The one from this movie is absolutely this one from Etsy or something similar.
Yeah.
Or it's this Amazon one. But yeah, it's called a spotlight ring box.
Yes.
Oh, that's the exact one from the movie.
Nice.
Superjeweler.com.
But at this point, I was like, oh, this is insane. Like, she's not going to marry him. But I was like, but she's definitely going to keep that ring because she's a full-ass villain. She doesn't, though. She gives it back.
She doesn't. But here's the crazy thing. The fact that she doesn't immediately say, no, I'm still with my boyfriend, or you have to give me time to break up with him. But they've been apart. Like, because she's like, I have to win, so we can't talk. So they have been like not speaking for weeks. And then for him to be like, just kidding about all that waiting shit, will you marry me, is bonkers. And so she goes to the bathroom and Megan comes in after and is just like, I'm not going to lie to that man. So are you going to marry him or not? And she's like, I can't tell him this before he goes and sings. She's like, yes, you can. And he'll have to sink or swim. And that's on him. That's not on you.
Yeah.
Which she is right about. But this is a crazy plot point.
And that's honestly his fault.
Yeah.
Like he posed that question to her right before he was about to sing, like 10 minutes before. That's on him.
Well, and I know that the reason the movie does this is because of the phrase earlier, if he gets his heart broken, maybe he'll finally learn how to sing with emotion. Because yes, she says no through Megan, and he goes on and sings, and she watches from the audience sobbing.
Sitting next to her boyfriend, who was also like riveted by this performance.
Yeah.
Just because I think he actually has developed an appreciation for opera because he has tried to take an interest because it's what his girlfriend does.
Right.
And again, this man she's cheating on is great.
Yeah, well, I do love that he leans over. He's like, hey, you know that guy who looks like the waiter from the place? Like, he has no idea it's the same dude.
She should have just been like, it is.
She doesn't tell him. And his performance is amazing, but he's very clearly he's emotional in the moment and everything.
When he breaks and just cries, and he drops a line. He just fully does not sing a really short, but he drops a line in the Figaro song.
Yes.
And then picks it back up for the last note. And I was crying. Like, I hated this movie. And I was crying because I love Max in this movie.
Yeah, but they have like a cocktail hour and he is surrounded by people telling him he was great. She is not. And I think maybe this is the first time in the movie that she's like, oh, I'm not the best one just because I believed I could be. Like, he has put in all this work and now it shows and it has paid off.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, but she's like staring at him across the room and everything. They go to announce it and the second place goes to Rosa, the crazy one. Loved that.
Well, that's the lady who just threw up and then nailed it. And man, she
throws up and comes out with fucking a vengeance, singing a thing from the Magic Flute. And I know that because I saw the Magic Flute earlier this year.
It's a hard song to sing and she crushes it though.
Oh,
like she's so good.
It.
When she got second, I was like, good. Because I was afraid that like maybe Max was going to get second and she was going to get first. Because this movie is written like the author is a monster. So like I wasn't sure. And then when she won, I was like, okay, good. Max better win.
Right. So that she learns that she shouldn't just be handed this on a platter.
Yes. If she won, Paige, I was going to be like, I can't do this movie without a medical interventionalist president because I'm going to be so mad.
I will pitch you my full better version of this movie as soon as we finish and get to the end.
I think we've pitched way better options or ways to fix it many times. But yes, please. I think that there are very easy changes you could do to make this a great movie.
Yeah. Anyway. She goes home with her boyfriend who is like, hey, I'm proud of you. And she's like, it'll be nice to get back to life because she's been gone for a year. And then she's like, I don't think I'm going back. I think I'm going to keep training and go back and win. It's not over. And he's asleep, by the way. And she's like, did you just roll your eyes? Fuck. Where it's positioned like she picked the wrong person.
Yeah, because, he fell asleep before she revealed that she might be just like living in Scotland indefinitely.
Or at least not going back to a job.
Right. Which I truly don't think would be a problem for them financially. So like maybe have a conversation about that. That's not like, hey, this is happening. You're either on board or fuck you.
Right.
Which is every time they have a conversation about a life-changing or relationship-changing, I should say, decision, it is positioned that way. Like, this is happening. You're either on board or fuck off.
Yeah.
You can't be in a relationship with that.
Yeah. We cut to 3 years in the future where Max is in Don Giovanni and the woman he's supposed to be singing with is sick. And they're like, oh, well, there's two options to replace her. There's Alyssa Fredericks, but she's kind of a cow. And I think they mean this in a vocal sense, like the way she sings.
It concerned me. And I don't know... Man, I that might be an opera term. I don't know if it's an opera term. And because I don't know if it's an opera term or not, I hated it. Because it made me think that she was like, she's fat. And that's shitty.
Well, but here's the thing. Here's why I think it has to be an opera term that they just assume we know and we don't. Because it would be really weird for them to be like, there's this one girl, but she's fat. And there's this new girl, and it's Millie, who we have not talked about her body type the entire movie. At all. But... she is plus size, so it didn't make sense to me that they would call one over the other. So I think it must be a vocal thing, I guess, but it's not familiar enough for us to know. So it just sounds like they're calling the other girl fat, and it's just really weird.
It is.
Anyway, he picks Millie, obviously, because why wouldn't he? Because remember, he's the rain check guy, and he always wanted her. He never stopped wanting her.
This made me so sad.
For him?
Yeah.
I did love his story about him taking the ring back, and he says, yeah, like 1 in 3 guys does that. And I was like, that's a startling statistic, and I don't think that's true, but hilarious to watch.
Man, if that's true, that's sad. I only say that because he should not have asked her to marry him.
No.
Like that is something that like you need to have a conversation about before it happens. In my opinion, like I would not be asking the question if I didn't know the answer was going to be yes.
Yes.
And also, like, that's a big decision for both of you. Maybe include her in the discussions about it.
Yeah.
Or him, or whatever.
Yeah. But this is where he's like, well, what about your boyfriend? And he's like, oh, he lost his, what about your significant other? He lost his significance.
Yeah, which is something a sociopath would say.
It would make sense if he had been a bad guy, but he wasn't.
This movie would have made sense if he had been a bad guy. I think the one note to fix it for me is like, maybe make the boyfriend a bad guy. Because we're just watching our main character cheat on this really great boyfriend.
So we end on a duet between the two of them, which I do like that it's very stylized, like mob wife vibes. And I was here for that.
And it's beautiful. Like it's a song. It's like one of the opera songs you'd recognize, like.
Yes. And we see that Megan, their teacher, is in the audience, which is very, very sweet. And that's
the
movie.
So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, Paige, tell me everything you thought about Falling for Figaro.
Oof magoof.
Yes.
I feel like I have kind of alluded to this being what I would do. But I say no boyfriend at all, or they break up in the first scene. Period.
Yes.
It is enemies to lovers. They're battling over who is doing better, who's gonna, succeed at the contest. They sing the duet. They start to fall in love, but they're still competing against each other. Something disqualifies both of them, and the only way they can compete is with a duet in a duets category, because it's basically, what's that ice dancing movie? Toe Pick.
Blades of Fury.
Blades of Fury.
You're thinking of The Cutting Edge, Paige, which is a movie I love.
It's cutting edge, but with opera. And they win with the duet, and that is how they fall in love.
And then they get hired to do Figaro or whatever at the end, or yeah.
Yes, the natural end of the movie. That's my ideal version of this.
Yeah, it'd be great.
So
yeah, I think we really complained about a lot in this movie already, so I don't really feel the need to rehash it all. Just for the sake of the listeners.
Yes.
But man, I've not seen a character this unlikable from a point of view that is so tone deaf to the fact that the main character is awful.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a movie show such a terrible character in such a great light. And it made me hate it.
It really bugged me.
I also sort of loved it because you're like, I don't know if they're doing this intentionally. I wonder if this is
I don't think so.
An opera trope where the prima donna singer is just terrible throughout everything and no one gets resolution and it's just terrible. I don't know. But there's no reason to make me hate her this much.
Yeah.
Anyway. Especially when Paige, it's so easy to make me like her.
Yes.
Get rid of the boyfriend early on, make him terrible, make him a little degrading. You'll never find somebody like me. Look at you. You'll never be able to find someone like me. And then they break up and she meets this guy. It'd be great.
Todd, think about this in the context of Anyone But You, right?
Yes.
So they're enemies, and then she finds out she got cheated on or broken up with, and he actually is kind to her in that moment. And it's the first beginnings of hey, I don't like you, but that was cruel and not okay. And it's humanizing for both of them. There are so many ways that you could have used that plot point to make this movie better. And honestly, that one change would have changed so much of this movie. Yeah.
Well, Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
Yeah, I have a few.
I'm so mad. I had to turn on my air conditioning. I'm hot. I'm sweating. I'm so mad.
Oh, God.
And all of this because I didn't love a fanfic version of someone going on a contestant show like The Opera or whatever.
You didn't love Santa Boot Camp, but with opera.
Opera Boot Camp.
Opera Boot Camp.
So here it is with those fun facts. Opera fun facts.
So Millie's singing is dubbed by an Australian opera singer named Stacey, and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, and I'm so sorry. Alleaume. I think it's Alume or Ayume.
Isn't that how they say aluminum over there?
Maybe. But they have won several awards in Australia and New Zealand.
Nice.
Max is dubbed as well.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes. Dubbed by a man named Nathan Lay, also from Australia.
Nice.
Who has also won numerous awards and contests. The only live voice in the film is Andrew J. Carter as Fergus Mackenzie, because he had to crack. His voice had to crack and they couldn't overdub that.
Yeah, he did have to, which is why he's the worst singer at the actual final competition.
He's not bad until he cracks. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great, but he has to do it live and that's hard. And so
Yeah.
And also I'm sure it was written for his voice to crack and that's why they needed to do it like that. But I do want to commend it's both of the lead actors because they are actually singing in most of in the performances. I'm sure we're not using the audio from that performance.
Right.
But they're actually singing and that's awesome. They're putting into it. That's great.
They are singing in the sense that when the camera is rolling, they are pushing air out.
Yeah.
But they're singing badly and then overdub.
I mean, they're not singing nearly as good. That's why you overdub it. They might be good in their own right. I have no idea. But
sure, they did learn the songs and take voice lessons. And as we established, the actor who played Max was also in Les Mis. So they can sing, but not opera because opera's a whole different ball game.
Opera's so hard. Yeah.
Yes. And so Danielle McDonald, who plays Millie, is has basically said that it was terrifying to simply sing badly and not worry about how she sounded, knowing they would overdub it, which is wild.
Oh, yeah. I bet in the scenes, that's so awkward, I bet.
Yes.
You know, just, I don't know, man. That would be hard. The performances are great. Like, you don't, none of that comes through, you know? But I understand why it would be awkward.
Super, yes. According to Danielle, in an interview, Joanne Lumley, who plays Megan, the opera coach, never needed a second take, which is phenomenal because she's actually real fun.
Well, she's like a professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not that anyone else isn't, but she's been in the business for years.
No, I mean, like, yeah, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah. She is also married, Joanna Lumley is, to a classical conductor named Stephen Barlow, who's credited as the opera consultant on this film.
No shit. Nice.
Yeah. And finally, and this is one that I remember seeing the trailer for, but have not had a chance to see it, and I might need to remedy that at some point this week. But Danielle McDonald, who played Millie, and who also played Dumplin' and was so fucking good in Dumplin', previously played an aspiring amateur rapper in a movie called Patty Cakes, and the S in Cakes is a $sign.
Yes, please.
Yes, and I want to say that Patty Cakes, where Bridget Everett plays her mom.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with Bridget Everett.
I'm not.
Oh, Todd, do I have a video?
I mean, I probably would recognize her face. I'm bad with names.
You would recognize her face because you've definitely seen her in movies. But as soon as we're done with this recording, I'm going to make you watch at least one YouTube video, because Bridget Everett got famous as a cabaret singer, like a lounge singer. So she would do like half stand-up comedy as like a character and then would just sing. And she has the backing band is the remaining Beastie Boys, like, because it was, I think, Ad Rock before he passed away.
Yeah.
And she's fucking great, but she is just a whole wild character. And it's one of my favorite things to watch. And it's madness, and we are gonna watch it, just one song or whatever.
Yeah.
After you and I wrap.
Absolutely. That sounds awesome.
But yes, so I do want to see Patty Cakes because I know Danielle McDonald is good in a bunch of other things. She's phenomenal in Dumplin', and I fucking love Bridget Everett. So, but yeah, those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So I don't have the budget for this movie. I did try to find it, but I could not find it anywhere. But I do have a little bit of box office information. So Paige, let me just enlighten you to this situation. This movie came out domestically in the US. Obviously, this is actually an international movie for us because it's from the UK. But it did come to theaters here the week of October 1st, 2021. It was 32nd in the theaters that weekend, which is the highest it got on the chart. And I'm just going to tell you, Paige, it brought in $14,000
Oh, wow.
in its opening weekend and never brought in more than that. In fact, it went from $14,000 to $4,000.
Well, this was mid-pandemic.
It was mid-pandemic, yes.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
but to put that in perspective, the week it came out, Venom, Let There Be Carnage was number one, and that brought in $90 million. The Addams Family 2 was also in theaters. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was in theaters.
Oh, I like Shang-Chi.
There you go. The Many Saints of Newark and Dear Evan Hansen were all in theaters at this time and did well. But this movie did not. This movie, I'll just tell you, only brought in $35,910 domestically, although it did bring almost $1 million in internationally, the majority of that, $700,000, of which came from Australia.
Interesting.
But Paige, that's your box office? Do you want to hit him with the romance scale?
Our romance scale is a scale of 1 to 4. And on a scale of 1 to 4, I'm going to give this 2 rankings. As is, it's a 1. If there was no boyfriend or if they broke up with a boyfriend, I would have given this a 2 to maybe even a 3.
I'd probably agree, at least with a 2 of that scenario. I'd give you a 2 if I didn't hate her. But the problem is she's very unlikable. And I don't want her and Max to get together. I really don't even want to give us a 1 on the romance scale. I want to give it a 4 on the scary scale because she terrifies me. But I'm going to give it a 1 because you can't go negative. That's just how the scales work. And 0 on the roar scale because nobody gets busy.
That's true. That is true.
But that's your romance scale, Paige.
That is our romance scale.
So, Paige, do you think they're still together?
Yeah, probably.
Narcissists dig in deep, man.
They do. Well, and I think they're also probably performing together. So if they're not together, maybe they had some like huge falling out and that'd be kind of fun.
You just want them to stay together for the drama, baby.
The drama. Why are you into opera? I don't know. The drama.
Insanity. Anyway, I don't think they're together. I hope that he gets as far away from her as possible. So, Paige, this week you made us watch Falling for Figaro. What are you going to make us watch next week?
Next week, I'd like to apologize to you in advance.
I love when you say that to me.
I was made aware of a new film by recent favorite of this podcast, Wattpad Studios.
You say favorite like we enjoy it.
We've had fun.
Oh, we enjoy talking about it. I don't think we've enjoyed many of the movies. Yeah.
We enjoy talking about it. Starring yet another Riverdale alum, and it comes out August 2nd. So, like, we're recording this right now, just peek behind the curtain, Friday, July 26th.
Right.
By the time we record next, because we've kind of back recorded a couple episodes, August 2nd, it comes out on streaming. And if for some reason I am wrong and it's not available, we will record something else and dub over this, and that's fine. But August 2nd, it comes out on streaming, and it is called Boot Camp. And it looks problematic, but also fun in the way that Wattpad Studios kind of are.
Okay, you say problematic because it's about a girl who goes to camp and then like becomes romantically involved with one of her camp counselors.
And yes, is that camp counselor Fangs Fogarty from Riverdale? Absolutely it is. And so like, let's get into it. Like, let's watch it.
Oh, is he the guy from Fogarty Steals Nash and Young?
No, but that would
bad.
also be great. But yeah, so we're going to watch Boot Camp, literally catching it as it's releasing. You're welcome.
All right, guys. I am so sorry, but your homework for next week is to watch Boot Camp. How do you not call it Booty Camp? It's called Boot Camp, though. So watch it and then report back for what I'm sure is going to be an insane episode.
Insane episode. I can't wait. Todd, do you have a review for us?
I do have a review, and this review is from Catlin Shield, maybe. It's something like that. It's close. Catlin Possible Shield. You got to give me that. And they say, my favorite soundtrack. Romancing the Pod and Horror Virgin have become my go-to podcast when I need something laugh out loud funny to keep me company on a hike or while I'm painting. So much that I'm doing a tandem chronological re-listen. Oh man, that's a lot. That's like going back and forth every episode between the Romancing the Pod and that's dedication.
That's a lot.
I love that.
Although I bet it'd be really interesting because we don't always record in order to see when jokes cross over.
Well, I do think, I mean, obviously, because so much of our own lives are in every episodes, like there was a lot of bleed over between episodes for sure. Paige is insightful and hilarious. Todd provides great perspective, jokes, and excellent audio quality. Thank you so much. Rip to having Mikey puns. God rest his soul. Hilarious dating stories and high-roading Todd every week. But Paige and Todd are killing it as a duo with guests. I especially enjoyed the guest on the most recent 365 episode. Okay, we get it. We get it, Kate. You're funny.
It was so great that we were able to get Mustafo on such short notice.
Mustafo is busy. Pro tip, if you're watching the movie along, make an extra profile on your streamers so the after series doesn't completely reset your algorithm. Thanks for all you do and keep up the good work. Kate, thank you so much for that awesome 5-star review. And let me read this awesome Spotify comment. And this came in on our most recent episode. And that episode was The Idea of You. Was it? Whatever.
Well, we are recording this so far ahead that yes, it probably was.
Yeah, we have. But this is from Ash Dwyers. And they say, yes, Paige. It took me a long time to forgive Anne Hathaway and agree to watch her in movies after she did Ella Enchanted Dirty like that.
Thank you. Ninjas? Why were there ninjas?
Love that movie. I actually think I saw a tweet where someone was like co-signing that your take about how like if you've read the book, you hate the movie.
Yes.
But like I don't read books, so like I love the movie.
If you had listened to that book, Todd, the book is so good and the movie is so bad.
Yes, everyone I've talked to that like loves the book and hates the movie, I respect their opinions, you know? All I'm saying is like the problem with the woke mind virus is if you read too much, Paige, it ruins things for you.
It sours the ovaries.
If you learn too much.
Here's my thing. With adaptations, I can usually see why changes were made to make a book.
Shorten it or whatever.
Whatever you needed to do. That's one where I'm like, all of this is unconscionable. And it just seems like a studio that's like, we have this book, but we didn't read it, and we kind of just wanted to make this other movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did make the other movie and still call Ella Enchanted. And the other movie's good.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not good.
So anyway, thank you so much, Ash Dwyers, for that comment on Spotify. And if you want to have me read your Spotify comment or 5-star Apple review, leave us a comment or 5-star Apple review, and I will do that for you. So yeah, if you guys like this show and want to hear our other show where we talk about horror movies, that is The Horror Virgin. That's the only other podcast I am on, but Paige is also on Cult Podcast, which you can find at Cult Podcast. And you can find us on social media. I am at Todd J. Awesome, literally everywhere. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Instagram.
No, it's at Rampage Wesley on Instagram and TikTok, at Paige Wesley on Twitter.
That's right. All right. So that's where you can find Paige. If you want to find the show, we are at Romancing the Pod Show, right?
Yep, Romancing Pod Show on Twitter.
Well, and Instagram, right?
And Instagram, but it's show SHO because character limits. If you start typing Romancing the Pod, it'll come up.
It'll definitely come up on Instagram. I don't know about Twitter because I haven't posted on Twitter in a hot ass minute. So who knows? But that is where you can find more of us. So yeah, guys, give us a follow. Support the show any way you can. We'd love it.
Smash that like button.
Hell yeah.
And that's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
I hated this movie.
Completion.
To completion. I hated this movie to completion, Paige.
Yep.
Bye. She's like Moriarty villain level nerds.
Oh, but Andrew Scott, though.
So sexy.